Have you ever felt an overwhelming fear of everything? Fear, in its most basic form, is a survival instinct. It alerts us to danger, propelling us into action to protect ourselves. However, when this fear grows beyond the confines of reason, becoming a constant, irrational presence in our lives, it morphs into something far more debilitating. It can make every interaction, every situation, a source of dread and anxiety. This pervading fear can become so profound that it inhibits our ability to function in day-to-day life, constraining us within an invisible cage of our own making. This condition, known as sociophobia, is what we'll be discussing today. Sociophobia, a term that may be unfamiliar to many, is a serious condition. It's not merely a case of being a little shy or preferring your own company, as introverts might. Sociophobia, also known as social anxiety disorder, is a persistent and overwhelming fear of social situations. It's much more than feeling nervous before a presentation or anxious about a social gathering. It's an intense fear that doesn't go away and affects everyday activities, self-confidence, relationships, and work life. Imagine feeling an overwhelming sense of fear when you're in a public situation like standing in a queue, eating in a restaurant, or even walking down the street. It's like having a spotlight constantly on you, and you're convinced that everyone is watching, judging, and scrutinizing your every move. That's what sociophobia feels like. This condition is different from shyness. Shyness is a personality trait. And while it may make social interactions a bit uncomfortable, it doesn't typically interfere with a person's ability to function in society. Sociophobia, on the other hand, can be so severe that it leads to avoidance of social situations altogether, causing significant distress and hindering a person's ability to lead a normal life. Similarly, sociophobia is not synonymous with introversion. Introverts may prefer solitary activities and require time alone to recharge, but they are not inherently afraid of social interaction. On the contrary, people with sociophobia desperately want to connect with others but are held back by their intense fear. Sociophobia can manifest in various ways, such as a fear of meeting new people, a fear of being criticized, or even a fear of eating or drinking in public. These fears can result in physical symptoms like blushing, sweating, trembling, nausea, or difficulty speaking. It's a complex condition that goes beyond the discomfort of shyness or the preference for solitude that introverts may have. In essence, sociophobia is a complex condition that affects people in different ways. It's not just about being shy or introverted, it's a debilitating fear that can significantly impact a person's life. Now that we know what sociophobia is, how can we identify it? Well, it's not always as obvious as you might think. Sociophobia manifests in a variety of ways, and it's key to remember that the intensity, frequency, and specifics of these symptoms can vary greatly from person to person. One of the most common symptoms is an intense anxiety or fear that arises in social situations. This could be anything from a large gathering to a simple one-on-one conversation. The individual may feel a sense of impending doom, as if something terrible is about to happen. This fear can be so overwhelming, it prevents them from participating in social activities or even leaving their home. Avoidance of public places is another telltale sign of sociophobia. This is often an attempt to escape the uncomfortable feelings associated with social interactions. It could be as specific as avoiding a particular location where a past embarrassing incident occurred, or as broad as steering clear of all public spaces altogether. But sociophobia isn't just about mental and emotional discomfort. It often presents physical symptoms as well. These may include nausea, rapid heartbeat, trembling, sweating, or even feelings of breathlessness. Some people may also experience a dry mouth, a shaky voice, or blushing when they're in a social setting. It's also worth noting that sociophobia can lead to anticipatory anxiety. This is where the individual experiences heightened anxiety merely by thinking about a future social event. They may spend days or even weeks worrying about it, often imagining worst-case scenarios. Keep in mind, however, that everyone feels nervous or anxious in social situations from time to time. It's when these feelings become persistent, intense, and interfere with daily life that it may be a sign of sociophobia. Remember, sociophobia is a real and serious condition. It's not just about being shy or introverted, it's a debilitating fear that can limit a person's ability to lead a full and satisfying life. Recognizing these symptoms is the first step towards understanding and addressing sociophobia. It's crucial to seek professional help if you or someone you know is experiencing these symptoms. There's no need to suffer in silence, help is available. But what causes sociophobia? Why do some people develop this intense fear? It's a complex question, and the answers can be just as multifaceted. There is no single cause for sociophobia. It often results from a combination of factors, including genetic influences, environmental elements, and traumatic experiences. Let's start with genetics. Some studies suggest a genetic predisposition to anxiety disorders, such as sociophobia. It's like inheriting your grandmother's blue eyes or your father's love for jazz music. If your family tree has branches twisted with anxiety, you might be more susceptible to sociophobia, but remember, it's not a guarantee. Your DNA is not your destiny. Next up, environmental factors. Your surroundings can play a significant role in shaping your fears. For instance, extremely protective or overly critical parenting styles might foster an environment where fear and anxiety can thrive. Peer victimization or bullying can also contribute to the development of sociophobia. It's as if the world around you is a garden, and these negative experiences are the weeds that can choke out your confidence and self-esteem. Finally, traumatic experiences. A single, deeply distressing event or a series of smaller, cumulative incidents can lay the groundwork for sociophobia. Imagine being humiliated in front of your entire school at a talent show. The memory of that embarrassment can be etched deeply into your psyche, creating a fear of social situations that can blossom into sociophobia. It's important to note that these factors don't work in isolation. They often intertwine, creating a tapestry of experiences and influences that shape who we are and how we perceive the world around us. And sometimes that tapestry can include the threads of sociophobia. Living with sociophobia can be challenging, but it's not impossible. First, let's talk about therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, has been shown to be particularly effective in treating sociophobia. This type of therapy aims to change thought patterns that lead to fear and anxiety. It involves working closely with a therapist to identify and challenge negative thoughts, and then replace them with positive, realistic ones. Exposure therapy is another form of treatment. This involves gradually and repeatedly facing the feared situation until the fear begins to decrease. It's like dipping your toes in the water before taking the plunge. You start small and gradually build up your confidence. Next, let's discuss medication. While not a cure-all, medication can help manage some of the physical symptoms of sociophobia. Antidepressants, anti-anxiety drugs, and beta blockers are all commonly used. However, it's important to note that medication should be taken under the supervision of a healthcare provider. Now, on to self-care practices. Regular physical activity is a powerful mood booster and stress reducer. Strive to incorporate some form of exercise into your daily routine. It doesn't have to be anything strenuous. A brisk walk around the block can do wonders. Surrounding yourself with positive influences is also crucial. Spend time with people who uplift and support you. Engage in activities that you enjoy and that make you feel good about yourself. And let's not forget about the importance of a healthy diet. Foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids, such as salmon and flax seeds, can help reduce anxiety. Likewise, try to limit your intake of caffeine and sugar, which can trigger anxiety and panic attacks. Lastly, always remember that it's okay to ask for help. If you or someone you know is struggling with sociophobia, don't hesitate to reach out to a mental health professional. They can provide the necessary tools and support to help manage this condition. Remember, seeking help is a sign of strength, not weakness. It's the first step towards reclaiming your life from the clutches of sociophobia. So to summarize what we've learned today, sociophobia is a psychological condition that manifests as an intense fear of social interaction. It's more than just shyness or introversion. It's an overwhelming anxiety that can profoundly impact a person's life. We've discussed the key symptoms to watch out for, including excessive self-consciousness, fear of humiliation or embarrassment, and avoidance of social situations. These symptoms can make it incredibly challenging for those with sociophobia to lead a normal life, often resulting in feelings of isolation and loneliness. We also explored the potential causes of sociophobia, with factors such as genetics, environment, and traumatic experiences all playing a role. It's crucial to remember, though, that it's a complex condition with no single cause. In terms of navigating sociophobia, we highlighted some coping strategies like cognitive behavioral therapy, exposure therapy, and medication. But remember, seeking professional help is always the best course of action if you or someone you know is dealing with this condition. By understanding sociophobia, we can help remove the stigma around it and support those affected. Remember, fear is human, but it doesn't have to control your life.